Welcome everybody back to the more Monday Night Wars. This is the WWF side, the 147th episode of Raw in its history. This is week 22. Raw went live on the USA Network February 19th, 1996 at the Cincinnati Gardens in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ratings were 3.1 for this edition of Raw. Nitro scored a 2.9, so they beat them by 200,000. Nitro also scored a 3.7 when Raw wasn't on the air last week. However, this week, now that they're back on, the WWF wins by 0.2, a 3.1 to 2.9, as I just said. So now after this week's win, the scoreboard is now 10 wins for the WWF, 10 losses, 2 draws through the first 22 weeks. This Raw was drew a 3.1 was brought to you by Jerry the King Lawler and Vince McMahon. And this was the night after In Your House Rage in the Cage, where Brett defeated Diesel in the steel cage match where Undertaker tucked him under the mat. Vince welcomes us and tells us that we might see the hear about the return of the Ultimate Warrior. That's not tonight, but that's the news broke tonight, but they didn't say he's coming tonight. Razor Ramon versus Goldust opened up the show. Marlena and Goldust cornered for the Intercontinental title. Goldust was the Intercontinental Champion. Razor the challenger, trying to become a 5-time Intercontinental Champion, which would have been a record. Razor jumped Goldust in the dark before the light turned on, and Marlena had blown smoke in Razor Ramon's face. So he jumped Goldust. The lights hadn't even turned on from Goldust's entrance. So he threw Goldust's jacket or Goldust's robe into the audience. And then went for an arm wringer, and then an arm torque, and then an overhead wrist lock, a match of power. Goldust with a clothesline. Back from a commercial, McMahon says Goldust has been dominating during the commercial break. Goldust with a double stomp on the canvas to Razor, then they put him in a sleeper hold. Razor chants fill the arena, and he gets in a sleeper hold himself. A jawbreaker by Goldust, who slides outside and back inside, falls growing first on the top turnbuckle. Razor did a suplex off the middle rope to Goldust, landing on the middle of the canvas floor. Razor with momentum catches Goldust to him for a crossbody, but then hits a fallaway slam over the top rope to the floor. The fallaway slam, he just threw Goldust behind him, chucked him over the top rope to the floor. Razor went for the Razor's Edge, but Goldust back body dropped Ramon to the outside. That's once he got back inside the ring. And Goldust walks away, and Razor wins by countout. Goldust keeps the title since it was a countout victory at 527. I rated it 2.5 stars because the action was pretty good while it was there. Razor says on the microphone after, Goldust, I don't want your belt, I want your ass. That's what he says, and Goldust may just take him up on that. Razor says, you like me, Piper? I'm from the streets, Chico. I don't want my kid watching this stuff on TV. That's what he says. Because he's like, Piper, you're a kid. You have 6 kids. Well, I don't want my kids watching this stuff on TV. And then he went, Goldust, you think I'm sexy? You're right. And then he said, so Piper, I know I don't sound anything like Razor Ramon. I'm just saying that's what he said. So Piper, he says, I challenge you to make the match since you're the new president of the WWF. I challenge you to make the Goldust Ramon rematch. Next up, Skip and Zip was Sonny versus Barry Horowitz and Aldo Montoya. Vader made his way to the ring in a black shirt before the match, and he beats up Montoya and Horowitz. Vader then says whose time it is. Barry Horowitz and Aldo Montoya get knocked apart. Vader is beating them up as half the crowd cheer, so the match didn't take place. It was supposed to be Skip and Zip versus Barry Horowitz and Aldo Montoya. Vader beat up everybody in the ring, so the match didn't take place. No rating. They then show clips of the Ultimate Warrior, perhaps coming. Then they show Sonny singing Happy Birthday, Mr. President, the way Marilyn Monroe did to JFK. And it's because it's President's Day, so that's why she did that. And she also welcomed us to Raw and said it contains of graphic nature. So viewer discretion is advised. That's what she said at the beginning of the show, just now that I remember. Up next, the Ringmaster with Ted DiBiase took on Marty Jannetty. A lot of Marty chants from the crowd. Steve Austin's now shaved his head completely bald. The first Raw where Austin's completely bald. And Vince calls him Stone Cold. Not Stone Cold Steve Austin. He calls the Ringmaster his attitude Stone Cold 3 different times on commentary. So it's almost as if that Stone Cold, where he got the idea from his wife, it's obviously been pitched to McMahon. because it's not a coincidence that he called him Stone Cold 3 different times. His attitude is stone cold. That's what he said. Another lockup by Jannetty. Austin was wrestling technical in this match, big time. He slips underneath a drop kick, and then hard shots against him. Austin with a drop to a hold and a STF. The ringmaster to Marty Jannetty. Austin then laid grapevine, then slammed the bad leg of Marty Jannetty to the canvas floor. Marty chants as the ringmaster continued the beatdown. Marty Jannetty into a triangle choke by the ringmaster. Austin Irish whips him to the corner, and Marty Jannetty with the boots, and then gets a facebuster. Off the ropes, and Jannetty connects to the sternum with a knee lift. Gets a near fall. Jannetty with a side suplex attempt, but Austin lands on his feet. Then the ringmaster locks in the $1 Million Dream, and that's it. The ringmaster gets the victory after the $1 Million Dream. McMahon calls him Stone Cold for the third time, but not as a name, just a personality trait again. So I rated that match 2 stars and a quarter. We go to a third Raw vignette from Mankind, third week in a row. He says the ugliness that lives outside lives inside all of you, and that 8th day God created me. The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Tatanka with Ted DiBiase. So DiBiase's back out again, as it's another member of his $1 Million Corporation, this time Tatanka. The Undertaker chokes out Tatanka in the corner. The Undertaker, Tatanka chops at the Undertaker, and he begs him not to hurt him back when the chops have no effect on the Phenom. Undertaker controlling Tatanka with a boot to the face, and then hits him with a fallaway slam. Diesel comes to the ring with an axe in his hand. Yeah, an axe in his hand. He takes the camera with him, and he drags the cameraman with him with the axe in his hand. I didn't know what the hell he was going to do. I thought he was going to just chop Undertaker to bits. Diesel then chops up the Undertaker's casket backstage, and King says, "That's where the Undertaker lives. That's his home." Good God, is that really where the Undertaker's character was? That he lives in a casket? Undertaker sits. So anyways, he was serious, the King. So they really believe he's a dead man. I knew the gimmick was around the dark side, but I didn't think they actually thought he lived in a casket. Anyways, Tatanka had control of the Undertaker's in the ring. Meanwhile, the casket's getting chopped to pieces by Diesel with the axe. The casket is no more as Diesel cut it in parts. Taker hits the tombstone to Tatanka and gets the win. I rated that a star and a quarter. Taker then looks at the Tron on the Raw stage. There's like a little TV monitor that has Diesel chopping up the casket. Undertaker then, furious, walks with Paul Bearer to the back. Then the show featured a closing segment in which they had the Larry King live. They called Larry Flynn, or Larry King, they called Larry Fling or something, with Ted Turner as they ripped apart WCW's booking about the shoe or how Hogan cut his eye. Paul Bearer then cried out and said, "Diesel, you'll pay for this. Oh, no." Instead of, "Oh, yeah," he goes, "Oh, no." This episode I rated a 5 out of 10 due to some decent wrestling with Jannetty and Austin, Taker, Tatanka, and Goldust and Ramon. Vader's dominance continues. Vignettes for the Ultimate Warrior and Mankind. An average Raw for 1996, early 1996. So again, the TV ratings wise, the WWF scores a 3.1 to Nitro's 2.9 after being off last week where the Nitro scored a 3.7 and WWF was off. They won by 200,000 viewers this week, finishing above 3.0 for one of the only times it's ever done that, too. So they got to be happy about that. So they won 3.1 to 2.9 this week, a 0.2 victory. But again, one of the only times they finished above 3. And again, my quality rating was a 5 out of 10. So all time through 22 weeks, the WWF has 10 wins, 10 losses, and 2 draws. They are 10, 10, and 2. I'm just going to remind everybody, if you want to hit like and subscribe to my channel, you can. We do the history of wrestling videos every day. We archive these old Raws and Nitros, as I haven't mentioned that in a while in my last few reviews. So I'm just mentioning it now. If you ever want to go back and watch the Monday Night Wars, they're archived in Nitros and old Raws. So they'll all be in order, and I always post them side by side so you know what Nitro went up against what Raw. So Raw got the victory this week. It was a decent show. We'll see what it has in the 23rd week. This is the 22nd week of the Monday Night Wars for the WWF Raw side. I'm Brett Mix. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.